platforms. So just bear with me just a moment while we kick off on the other platforms. Get an error here, just 1 second. Okay, I think I'm live on various platforms. So good afternoon. This is just a quick live, just share with you some of my thoughts from the mini budget yesterday that we had and the announcements that the Chancellor of the Exchequer made. So Rishi Sunak has certainly been working very hard in trying to prevent the economy from crashing out completely. So I've been talking about for a little while since the COVID issue started and the challenges around the economy, that the way things are going, it's very likely that the property market will crash. And there's a few things that could prevent that from happening. One of those things is a relaxation around transactions being able to be more easier, encouraging people at the bottom end of the market, i.e. the first-time buyers and investors, developers to start buying, for developers to start developing, and all these things would have a knock-on effect on the property market. Because if you think about all the services that are involved in a property purchase, so you've got the solicitors involved in the transaction, the estate agents, sometimes the letting agents, conveyancers, surveyors. Then if there's any development, you've got architects, etc. Those are just all the professionals or some of the professionals involved within, say, a property transaction. And then if there's work going on, there'll also be the construction trades. There's all the materials that are supplied to the construction industry as well, and builders for renovations. So there's a lot of activity that can happen if the property market is stimulated and it's moving and it's buoyant. So one of the good pieces of news that we got yesterday was the Chancellor mentioned that stamp duty for up to £500,000 transaction would be removed effectively, so there'll be no stamp duty to pay. So unfortunately, the not so good news is it doesn't really benefit us very much as property investors, and I'll explain and show you why in just a moment. But as homeowners or people buying their first homes, they will certainly benefit from this, and it will create some stimulation at the bottom end of the market, i.e. people getting onto the property ladder, the first-time buyers. So who are they buying from? They're buying from movers. People are moving on to their next home, and of course it has a knock-on effect all the way up the property ladder for people moving further up the line. Now when we're looking at stamp duty, I think it's 2016 where it previously changed. It has an impact for property investors, where we now have to pay an extra 3% if we're purchasing a property in a company or a second property, or essentially if it's not our home. The extra 3% also slowed the market down. At that time, it made it less viable for flips when you're buying and selling property, because the transactional costs are just starting to creep up and get higher and higher. So how has it changed right now? So if you're in the southeast, and then £500,000 plus type transactions are probably less unusual, i.e. they're more common. But the rest of the country, particularly property investors, it's not common for them to be buying buy-to-let property around £500,000 plus mark. So say if we're looking at a typical property around the £200,000 figure, let's see how those numbers change. What I did earlier on is, on screen, I got the government website for stamp duty calculations, and I just thought I'd share with you on here. So before the changes that were announced yesterday, I'm not sure if that screen kind of comes across very well. Let me see if I can move it across here. That might make it a little bit better to see. So previously, up to the first 125,000, we'd have to pay the 3%. This was the additional 3% that investors have to pay. And then between 125 to 250,000, we'd be paying 5%. So that's the 3 plus 2. So in a £200,000 transaction, typically we'd be paying £7,500 stamp duty. Now, how's that changed going forward? Well, if we flick across to the current situation right now, what we've got is a property up to £500,000. There's only the 3%, in which case it's £6,000. So actually, when you look at it from property investors' point of view, the grand scheme of it, actually there isn't a huge amount of change in the stamp duty itself. So it was £7,500 previously, and it's £6,000 now. So £1,500 saving on a typical £200,000 purchase. And there'll be many property investors who won't even be reaching the £200,000 as a typical purchase price. It'll be much lower than that. So the impact of the stamp duty for them will be minimal. However, the advantage is it will get the first-time buyers moving in the market. It's very likely it will reduce the chances of the property market crashing because it will more stimulation at the bottom end of the market. You know, I've got some high-end houses I'm selling as well, £500,000 plus. Another one I'm just getting ready at £400,000. So I'm pleased and will benefit from that point of view with these transactions because it will mean that there'll be more people looking to buy right now. Of course, these changes are not going to last forever. They're up to the 31st of March 2021. That means when we get to the 1st of April 2021, these changes will be scrapped and we'll go back to the old system of what it was last week. And then we have to think about how will that impact the market. So there may be a sudden rush to try and get transactions done and completed before the 31st of March 2021. And then afterward, there might be a slowdown at that point. We've yet to see how that will impact the market. So overall, I think it's a good thing that the stamp duty reduction will benefit the property market generally. It's not going to make a direct impact on us as property investors, but indirectly will benefit because the market will be active and it'll be moving. So I just wanted to share that with you. Let me know your thoughts. I know a lot of people have been talking about stamp duty changes. Rishi did mention yesterday when he was doing his presentation that it will be all property transactions, and I got very excited thinking, oh, it's all transactions. But actually, when you looked in the nitty-gritty detail, it's not all transactions. It's not for investors that would benefit and people that buy property in companies, etc. It's really for people that are buying their home. So look, I hope you find this useful. I just want to break this down and show that there is actually some light at the end of the tunnel with this happening, and with the changes that are happening in the planning system as well, the relaxation of some planning and permitted development rights becoming available, it becoming easier for first-time buyers to buy, and the biggest impact the property market, or a negative impact the property market would have, is an increase in unemployment. And that's likely to occur from furloughing coming to an end and some of those people becoming unemployed. But of course, the Chancellor also mentioned yesterday there'd been £1,000 incentive to keep those people on, not to let them go. Again, there seems to be some more incentives there. I've got to take my hat off to the Chancellor. They are actually, the Tory party, coming up with some good ideas to keep the economy from, keep it moving forward and prevent it from crashing out completely. So look, I hope you found this useful, and let me know your thoughts and any views that you have on this. Just pop them in the comment section. I'll pop back on and share my thoughts as well. And I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.